175 billion. I want you to just sit with that number for a second. It's a truly mind-boggling, almost incomprehensible figure, right? But back in 2020, this exact number literally shattered our understanding of what artificial intelligence could actually do. We're not talking about a bank bailout or the number of stars in the galaxy. That number is the parameter count, the mathematical brain connections inside a brand new AI model. And simply by scaling up to this unprecedented massive size, researchers unlocked a capability that completely flipped the script on how machines learn.
Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a graduate student who's just starting to dive into reading dense, intimidating academic research papers, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're going to demystify one of the most seminal AI papers of our modern era. Language models are few-shot learners. This is the paper that introduced GPT-3 to the world. Our goal right now is to extract the core concepts, the real magic of this breakthrough, without getting totally lost in the complex math or dense academic jargon. Think of this as your personal guided tour through a major piece of AI history. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the fine-tuning bottleneck. Second, scale and in-context learning. Third, how GPT-3 actually works. Fourth, the proof in performance. Fifth, connecting this all to today's AI, and finally, the single biggest takeaway. Knowing the structure of a paper makes reading it infinitely less anxiety-inducing for sure, so let's get started.
Section 1. The fine-tuning bottleneck. To appreciate the hero of our story, we first need to meet the villain.
Before this paper dropped, the standard way to build an AI for a specific task was a two-step dance: pre-training plus fine-tuning. You'd train your AI on general text, sure, but if you wanted it to actually do a specific job, like, say, translating English to French or answering trivia, you had to fine-tune it. And oh boy, was this tedious. You had to painstakingly collect massive data sets labeled by actual humans for that one specific task. Then, you forced the model through repeated gradient updates. Basically, you were permanently rewiring its internal math. It was incredibly expensive and just a massive time sink. Worse, it turned the model into one-trick pony. By forcing this huge model to hyperfocus on a narrow dataset, it often just memorized cheap tricks, what researchers call spurious correlations, instead of actually learning the underlying concept. If you moved it even slightly outside its little training box, it would fail completely.
Section 2, Scale and In-Context Learning. This is where the researchers at OpenAI had their eureka moment.
The researchers knew this fine-tuning bottleneck was holding the entire field back. I mean, think about it. Humans don't need 10,000 labeled examples to learn a new board game, right? We just need a few basic instructions. So, their brilliant core idea was, what if an AI could just learn on the fly? Let's use an analogy. Imagine a brilliant, isolated human prodigy who has memorized literally every book on the internet. Under the old fine-tuning method, if you want this prodigy to translate French, you practically have to send them back to school for 4 years to permanently rewire their brain just for that one job. But under the new method, in-context learning, you skip the schooling entirely. You just hand the prodigy a piece of paper with a couple of English to French examples and say, hey, keep going. Because they already possess massive general knowledge, they just instantly adapt.
Section 3. How GPT-3 actually works. Let's look under the hood. So, the researchers had this beautiful theory of in-context learning. But how does a mathematical model read a piece of paper and just know what to do without being rewired? Grasping the exact definition of in-context learning is absolutely crucial here. It's the ability of the model to learn a new task at test time, purely from the text prompt provided, without any gradient updates. Actually, let me repeat that because it's the whole ballgame. Without changing its underlying mathematical weights. The AI is just using its short-term memory, its context window, and its insane pattern-matching skills to figure out what you want, right then and there. It's essentially the world's most advanced autocomplete, just continuing the pattern you've started for it. To prove this wasn't just a fluke, the researchers designed 3 specific testing conditions. And hey, as a new researcher, paying close attention to how experiments are designed is a major key to reading papers well. Step 1 was zero shot. They literally just gave the AI natural language instructions, like translate English to French, and demanded the answer. Step 2 was one shot, instructions plus exactly one single example. And step 3 was few shot, where they gave the model the instructions plus as many examples as they could physically cram into its context window, usually around 10 to 100, before asking it to solve the final problem.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the operational difference. Take a look at figure 2.1, straight from the paper. On the right side, you've got traditional fine-tuning. Just look at all those yellow gradient update boxes. It is a messy, computationally heavy process of constantly updating weights. Now look over to the left as zero shot, one shot, and few shot. It is so clean. It's just a text description, maybe some examples, and a prompt. The model simply reads forward and predicts the answer. No rewiring required at all. From an engineering standpoint, it's just incredibly elegant.
Section 4, the proof is in performance. Because honestly, an elegant idea is totally useless if it doesn't actually work in practice. Did this massive 175 billion parameter model actually pull off few-shot learning? Well, this chart is arguably the ultimate visual proof, and maybe the most important image in the entire paper. Across the bottom, we have the number of examples given in the prompt, from 0 to 1 to many. Up the side, we have accuracy. See those green and orange lines at the bottom? Those are the smaller models. They basically flatline. You give them more examples and they're just like, nope, still don't get it. But look at that dark blue line soaring upwards. That is the massive 175 billion parameter GPT-3 model. As you feed it more examples, its accuracy just shoots straight up. It actively learns from the context window. This proved without a doubt that larger models make significantly more efficient use of in-context information.
Let's look at some raw numbers to see how they built this argument. The researchers threw dozens of standard benchmark tests at GPT-3 to see what would stick. Check out Trivia QA at the top there. In the few-shot setting, GPT-3 hit 71.2% accuracy. That didn't just do well, it actually beat the state-of-the-art fine-tuned models of that time. Just let that sink in. A model that was never explicitly trained to play trivia was beating models that were custom-built for it just by glancing at a few examples in a text prompt. On reading comprehension and word prediction tasks like Lambda and Story Close, the scores were just wildly impressive. Simply making the model 10 times larger than anything that came before it unlocked a completely new, paradigm-shifting level of performance.
Section 5. Connecting to today. Why does this history matter to us right now? You might be wondering, why are we poring over a paper from 2020? Well, understanding this specific breakthrough is absolutely crucial for grasping the AI tools you probably use every single day. Before GPT-3, AI models were incredibly rigid. Today, they are totally fluid. This paper proved that a single model could exhibit on-the-fly reasoning. During their tests, they showed GPT-3 could seamlessly mix tasks. It could translate a sentence into French, and then literally in the very next breath perform 3-digit arithmetic. It solved SAT-style analogies dynamically. It unscrambled words using character-level manipulation, which, by the way, is incredibly hard for an AI that reads in chunks of words called tokens. They even found it could generate synthetic news articles that human evaluators had serious difficulty distinguishing from real human journalism. This was the paper that paved the way for the general-purpose, multi-tool AI interfaces we all rely on today. Now, here's a quick pro tip for your literature reviews. A crucial part of reading any paper is hunting down its limitations. A truly great paper is honest about where it fails. The authors here transparently pointed out exactly where GPT-3 struggled. For instance, it totally fails at common sense physics. If you ask it, will cheese melt if I put it in the fridge? It just gets confused. They also noted architectural limitations, like lacking a bidirectional structure. That means it only reads left to right, making certain reading comprehension tasks unnecessarily hard for it. Plus, it still retains all the biases from its training data. Always read the limitations section to fully grasp the reality of a breakthrough system, not just the hype.
Section 6, the biggest takeaway. If you remember nothing else, remember this.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to distill this whole paper into one core lesson. When you're sitting down to write your literature reviews, what's the one thing you need to take away from this? Here it is. Scale is all you need. Throwing exponentially more compute and parameters at a model isn't just about making it a bigger hard drive to memorize more facts. At a certain massive scale, the model undergoes a profound qualitative shift. It unlocks meta-learning. Scaling up language models greatly improves task-agnostic, few-shot performance. Basically, just by making the mathematical brain bigger, the model somehow learned how to learn from its context. And that brings us to our final thought. This single paper triggered a massive industry shift. We went from a paradigm of updating internal weights to a paradigm of writing good prompts. Overnight, we went from being computer mechanics, permanently rewiring artificial brains, to being AI whisperers, communicating our intent through plain English. So here's my question for you. If simply scaling up this model ushered in the entire modern era of prompt engineering, what kind of wild paradigm shift is waiting for us in the next order of magnitude? I highly encourage you to go read the full paper to find out for yourself. I'll see you in the next explainer.